First 50 pages of this book, amazing, love it, 5 stars. Last 15 pages of this book, amazing, love it, 5 stars. The middle 150, I could have honestly done without. Hello, welcome everybody back to my channel. My name is CHIOMA, aka Chi, and today I'm going to be doing my recent reads, which is all of the books I have read recently. I have 4 books that I've read within the last 2 weeks, within the last week and a half or 2 weeks, as well as a DNF that I know so many people are going to be surprised about. But if you want to know what I've been reading recently, stay tuned. So I want to do this in a kind of 3-minute reviews. I want to give each book about 3 minutes max, kind of like a gist of a review of the book without me having to go as in depth as I know I can go and make this video 30 minutes long. So let's get to it. I have my Kindle here. I'm not going to show you the book on my Kindle, but the book is Wicked Knights, Angel of the Dark, book 1. This is by Gena Showalter. This is a paranormal romance book. It's a spin-off of her Lords of the Underworld series, which I've read every single one of them, except for the most recent one, which I just bought in hardcover. But I've read every single one of those books, so of course I'm going to read the spin-off. And this book follows Zacharel. So if you read the Lords of the Underworld series, Zacharel is kind of one of the angels that is kind of tasked with aiding in the Lords, or kind of being a watcher. So Zacharel is an angel under Lysander. He's kind of one with Lysander. If you remember Lysander, he is mated to one of the sisters who is mated to Striker. If you don't know the Lords of the Underworld series, this all sounds convoluted, but I'm going to try to keep it within the series. So this is the first book in the spin-off, and it follows Zacharel. Zacharel is an angel who did fall from grace, but kind of was awarded kind of his own army, and he's kind of tasked with making sure that there's no demons in the human world. So in the beginning of the book, him and his army are sent to a mental institution where there are demons kind of lurking all around, in and around the hospital. So he's kind of tasked with, like, tells his army, like, get rid of all the demons, and then he also goes to work. So he ends up in the room of this girl who is in the middle of actually being sexually assaulted by one of the hospital workers. So a little background on Zacharel: he emotionless, doesn't show emotion, doesn't really feel it, doesn't really know it. People know him as being emotionless and also like incredibly beautiful. Of course, in all these paranormal romances, they're all kind of like ridiculously beautiful, but Zacharel's on some other-ish. So he's kind of known for being ridiculously beautiful and also ridiculously stoic, no feeling. So he kind of assesses the situation very stoically, like, this should not be happening, what is going on, who is this girl? But he does end up saving her. He kind of feels like a pull towards this girl, and this is Zacharel, who is chaste. So he has never done anything, never even felt emotional sexual attraction to any woman, but here he is feeling a kind of pull towards this girl. He's just there kind of contemplating, like, should he take her, should he not? So one of his kind of co-workers, one of the people in his army, comes in and says she has your essentia. I hope I'm saying that correctly, but it's pretty much the glow that all of the angels have, and you can only have them when you, like, you finagle, you do a little something, or they are born with it. So he's just like, why does she have this when I've never met her before? So curiosity gets the best of him, so he ends up taking her to his cloud. All of the angels have a cloud where they live in, and she's just kind of really just trying to get back home. So her story is a little different. When she was younger, she was accused of killing both of her parents, even though she knows it was actually a demon. So a little girl is saying that a demon killed her parents and there is blood all over them. Her brother comes, sees the blood all over her, accuses her of killing her parents. She gets thrown into a mental hospital. So all she wants to do is go home. So Zacharel's all like, I'm intrigued, and demons are also following you everywhere. If I let you back on Earth, you're going to die. So they kind of end up having to tag team, and then a romance ensues. It's very, very well done, very similar to her Lords of the Underworld series, where the romance is kind of like angsty in the beginning, but then you can really see the different parts of them kind of open up. And I actually feel like this book is better than some of the books in her Lord of the Underworld series, because Zacharel was such a character that was set in his ways, very stoic, very unemotionless, and very not caring about women, until you see this new character come and really kind of like strip away that. You see it very slowly done, as well as you see him remedy the wrongs that he does to her, remedy the wrongs that he's done to other people, open up to the people of the army. The character building for Zacharel was amazing, and the romance was so kind of slow, well done, kind of like really teaching this person how to be kind of like a romantic character. Was really, really great. So I would give it a 4 out of 5 stars. It just sits really well with the Lords of the Underworld series. The romance is immaculately done. There's kind of a lot of stakes in the battle, so it makes it really, really interesting, because you kind of wonder, like, is this gonna be like a happy ending? Like, who's gonna survive, who's gonna die, who's gonna be a loss, what are the casualties? So it's kind of really high stake and also fast moving around them while they're trying to move slow with their romance. So definitely recommend this book. It was a really great read, a really quick read, and I love Gena Showalter. So the next book is Heartstopper Volume 1 by Alice Oseman, and this is 100% a book a booktuber made me buy. Kaylani Simply Me, she mentioned this in 3 of her videos back to back to back, and I was just like, there's no way I can hear about this book another time and not get it. It's a graphic novel, and I usually don't go for graphic novels that aren't manga, interesting enough, so I really want to give this a shot. And it was very interesting reading it because I'm kind of reading it manga style, so I'm reading it left to right, and I'm just like so confused in places. I'm just like, this is not a manga, it's a regular American graphic novel. But this is a very, very cute story, very adorable story, and I actually really love how the art is done. It's done very kind of sketch comic book style. If I can get you guys kind of to see how that looks. So you see, it's kind of done very kind of, I don't want to say rough sketch, but because the illustrations are kind of like nicely done, but it's kind of done in that kind of rough, really sketchy comic book style. It's a very adorable story about 2 boys who are kind of falling in love in high school. So Charlie, the main boy here, or one of the main boys, is openly out. So it recently got out at his school that he is gay, and it kind of just spread like wildfire. He went through a lot of bullying, but now he's in a good place where people really like him, and he's seen as pretty popular in the school. He ends up sitting next to this boy named Nick. So Nick is kind of like a jock type, or I think this, I'm pretty sure it's a I'm positive this is saying actually. So he's what the people call a rugby lad. Like, he plays rugby, he's kind of bigger, stockier, so he's learned as a rugby lad. So through a series of fortunate events, they become friends, and Charlie ends up going to the rugby team. Charlie and Nick form a very close friendship where they both feel like they can be extremely comfortable with each other, and then that starts to blossom more. And it's very interesting because you have the openly gay character Charlie here, and you have Nick, and you see their feelings start to blossom from each other, but you see it from the lens of someone who is kind of like okay with those feelings, who is openly gay but is understanding that these feelings are for someone who he believes to be straight. And you see Nick kind of unfold like, I do feel like I have feelings of more than friendship towards this person, but he also knows himself to be someone who is straight. So you kind of see them grapple with that, and it's also just very adorably done. A big part of this book is the building of the friendship, and I actually love that. I love when romance books kind of really emphasize the friendship, and really just emphasize the friendship, and you can really see the feelings start. You're kind of not told like then they fall in love. You kind of really see that with your own eyes, especially with the illustrations in this book. That is done so wonderfully. This book was absolutely adorable. I really enjoyed it. It's very cutesy, it's very adorable. I think for my first graphic novel, it was really good, and I'm in the midst of kind of like revamping how I think about my rating scale. So I am going to give this a 3 out of 5, but it was definitely a good book. Like, nothing amazing, nothing like wow, I'm definitely going to pick up the second volume, but it also definitely wasn't a bad book. So definitely 3 out of 5 stars. This is really good, and I definitely recommend Heartstopper Volume 1. So the next book is Scarlet in the Snow by Sophie Mason. This book was very interesting. I got the sense from the kind of like blurbs on the back that was going to be kind of like a Beauty and the Beast retelling, so that's kind of what it was. So the main girl is named Natasha, and she kind of lives with her 3 sisters and her mom. So earlier the year, her father passed away, which kind of took away all of the kind of like accolades and the fun things that they have in their life in society. So it's kind of like a historical society. I get the sense that it's kind of like back in the day if they were to place a setting on this. So her and her sisters are taken out of society, so where there would be kind of like young ladies going to balls, of attending parties, kind of finding men to marry, they're kind of like out in the outskirts with their mom, just trying to make a living and trying to get by. And her mother's a painter. So one day Natasha, the main girl, is tasked to deliver some paintings to someone who is going to pay her family or pay her mom a good price for her paintings that would help them get back on their feet. So she delivers their paintings, and she finds herself in a blizzard where she ends up at this mansion. She doesn't know how she gets there, but she's running away from wolves, and she ends up at this mansion. In this mansion, through a series of unfortunate events, she finds herself face to face with a man beast, someone who faced the claws, the body of a beast, but is kind of like in man form. So it kind of ends up that the place that she is in is like magical. So there is the woman that's taking care of the beast character, and there's some magic that is happening. So she ends up not being able to leave the place until she either falls in love with the man to break his curse, or something else kind of like unfolds to help break the curse. So she becomes indebted or invested in trying to break this curse. And then her and the beast kind of get closer. She kind of starts to see him as less of a beast and more of an actual man, and then she's banished off. I don't want to give too many spoilers or any spoilers about that, but she kind of ends on this kind of mission to finally break the curse that is kind of plaguing this guy. And I'd say the first 50 pages of this book, amazing, love it, 5 stars. Last 15 pages of this book, amazing, love it, 5 stars. The middle 150, I could have honestly done without. It's a lot of a lot of I'm on a train, a lot of setting of the train. I love this new city on the boat. It's like a lot of just description. There's not a lot of dialogue. There's not a lot of anything happening. It's kind of just incremental, like, and then I was here, 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 and then let's get back to that plot. So it was an interesting read. I'm not gonna say I didn't enjoy it. I did enjoy this book, so I'll give it a 2.5 out of 5 stars, just because it was kind of a little bit of it is a romance book, so it was kind of a little bit of an instant romance. I didn't really get where the romance came from. It seemed kind of randomly done. I feel like they could have kept it as a really good, strong friendship, and that would have made more sense in the end. But it was kind of like romantic touches, and I just didn't feel like it flowed very well with the story. But again, the first 50 pages and the last 50 pages were really good, so because of that, I would give it 2.5 stars. So it's a little bit below good, but I still recommend this book. The next book is a book I absolutely adored, and it's Let's Talk About Love by Kann. This book is so adorable. It's so adorable, so richly made main character. I absolutely loved her, and just such a natural journey, just such a natural new adult contemporary progression. And I feel like contemporary doesn't always really hit very hard for me, but this one hit very hard. And I think because the main character, honestly, the main girl was black, and I just felt so much of what her angst was. So Alice is the name of the main character, and she's in her first or second year. I'm pretty sure it's her first year of college, and she is bisexual without the sexual, that's what she calls it, and asexual. So in the beginning, we are taken to Alice and in the midst of her relationship with her girlfriend. So that's in the midst of breaking up in the first kind of 10 pages of this book. And I kind of love when a book just kind of starts in the middle, but it starts off with like something. We see people, we see dialogue, we can already create the personalities of the characters. It's not like today was a sunny day and the birds were chirping. Like, I love a setting, but kind of put that in the middle after I got to know kind of the people. That's just what I like. But we're in the midst of her breakup, and this breakup is ugly. So her girlfriend just doesn't understand or is not sympathetic to Alice's asexuality, which I'm just like, you know it, but you don't care. Like, why are you in a relationship with her? So she just feels like Alice doesn't love her as much as she loves Alice, because Alice doesn't want to have sex with her. And I'm just like, have you not heard of asexuality? Do you not understand what she's trying to tell you? But apparently she does. So in this breakup, she is saying just all the worst things that you could say to a black woman first, and then to someone who is asexual, and someone who is still kind of like on the journey to kind of being completely comfortable and discovering her full asexuality. So all the wrong things. The notes in this book are horrendous. I'm just like, how could someone say that and be like, I thought I was being funny? I'm just like, the microaggressions just hit home for me. So we're starting with that, and Alice is devastated, and she's just kind of going through a lot right now. Her parents really want her to be a lawyer, to go to law school. She does not want to do that at all. She just went through a breakup with her girlfriend, who she really liked and thought really liked her, and her two best friends since high school are getting married to each other. So she's kind of a permanent third wheel at this point, and she works at a bookstore, or a library actually. She works at a library. All of this is happening, she's grappling with so much, and in walks Takumi. Takumi is fine. Like, I could tell he's fine. He's just everything. He's fine. The description Alice gives, the description everyone else gives, Takumi is fine. So he works at the library that she also works for, and Alice has this scale where she kind of tries to understand her kind of attraction to people based on the scale that she has kind of derived from other people's reaction to people they find attractive. So even though she's not sexually attracted to people or has any interest in sex, she makes a big point of making the distinction that it's not that she doesn't like or doesn't want sex, it's that she doesn't care. It's not something that she ever thinks about. It's not something that she ever feels in the moment. And I feel like this is just so eye-opening to kind of like the wide spectrum of asexuality and all the wide spectrums of sexuality in general, because even within the asexual experience, there's not kind of one succinct definition that applies to everybody that identifies as asexual. And I feel like this really opened my eyes to it and really did that perfectly. So she just feels instant attraction to him. He blows the lid off of her cuteness scale, and he's just everything she's wanted. So they begin a friendship, and this friendship was amazing to me. It was just so beautifully done, so realistically done for like especially new adult friendships where you're in your like late teens, in your early 20s. There is a certain level of intimacy that's different from when you're like a young adult that I feel like was explored so authentically here, and I absolutely love that. Like, that friendship to me was everything, and you kind of see and you feel the feelings building on Alice's side. But then again, she's grappling with all these things in her interpersonal personal life with her best friends, kind of leaving her out, but also getting mad when she leaves them out. Her parents want her to be a lawyer. She's grappling with all these things, and also her asexuality and being so attracted to this boy who she doesn't know would accept these things. So it kind of goes through her journey and their friendship and their relationship through all of this, and I think it's just amazing look into her mind this book was. And I don't want to say it was done realistically, because I obviously can't put myself in these positions for me to judge whether it was realistic or not, but I feel like it was done authentically. Like, I feel like I could understand the decisions that were made on both sides, and the way it wrapped up wasn't kind of like your clean cut perfect wrap up. Like, there were questions asked. It was a very realistic response from both sides, and I feel like that was just so amazingly done. So 100% recommend. This book was so good, such a great telling, and the characters were amazing. The author told the story so richly and so beautifully that I love this book. Love it. 5 stars all around. Now, this is gonna be shocking, but The Iron King by Julie Kagawa is a DNF. So I officially am throwing in the towel on trying to finish The Iron King by Julie Kagawa, not because it's a bad book, it's just been slow and a bit boring, and I've read up to a little bit past 100 pages, and I don't have the will, I don't have the motivation, I don't have the tenacity to pick it up again and try to read through more of the main character's backstory and her introduction to the Fae. I just need something to happen. I need something more to happen, something more adventurous to happen, and it just has not happened yet. So I'm gonna put this down for the rest of the month and hopefully pick it up again in October and actually finish it, because I have all 4 books or all 3 books. I have all the books in the series, so I need to get through this one if I'm ever gonna get through the rest of them, but not this month. So this is a DNF, and I know people are shocked, people are dismayed, but I know Julie Kagawa writes amazing books. I just need to get there. I just need to get, where's the amazing? I need to get to that part before I can finish this book. So that is it for my recent reads. Please let me know what you've been reading recently, what you think of these books, if you read any of these books, and I'll see you guys later.